Hello and welcome to the No Balls podcast. I'm your host, Patrick McDonald, with me co-host Sheldon Kaufman. Today, we are reviewing the NBA trade deadline. I think the only obvious place to start, I don't know if you've heard this, Max Christie has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. I think he's the most important player moved in the deal. Um, Something about some Luka Doncic guy was included in it. Obviously, we've talked about this trade a little bit. Um, I posted an extra video about it that then they wouldn't change my opinion even more. Um, Basically, has your opinion on this deal changed at all since it's been happened or since we recorded the original video about it?
I think it's changed a little bit, especially because of what the Lakers have added. I guess it hasn't changed too much. I still think it was a complete win for the Lakers, especially going ahead in the future. Um, while as the Mavs are more centered around a more win now kind of thing. But I don't know. It's still a puzzling trade to me.
Yeah, me as well. I for the Lakers, like I guess they're giving this thing a good chance right now. I didn't know if that was going to be the path that they chose, but for the Mavericks, I didn't post an extra video about it, just being like, hey, there is some type of, you know, something here going on. And then they traded Quentin Grimes for Caleb Martin, and they gave up a second round pick with Quentin Grimes, who is younger, cheaper, and better for Caleb Martin. And that is just such a puzzling deal. And a lot of what I really liked about it was, hey, you're going to have a ton of guys who are going to be really good role players in a couple of years when you have to tear this whole thing down because Kyrie and AD are old. But I feel like they just compromised that a little bit. It just doesn't make too much sense to me, even now. I do think the Lakers have gotten better. I guess we'll start with the Mark Williams deal. Um,
Yeah,
2031 unprotected first. Doesn't connect. I don't think anything else important in there. And then there's a first round pick swap going back to Charlotte for Mark Williams. I mean, what's the initial opinion on this deal?
interesting for the Lake or for the Hornets. They must really love Dalton Connect, because Mark Williams is still 23 years old. Pat, still really young. 11-8 for them, and he hasn't been healthy damn near the whole year. As my background goes away. Uh, but Mark Williams, and he's a center that the Lakers now have, and he's a huge upgrade from Anthony Davis. Mark Williams is a guy that we've kind of talked about on and off throughout our podcast and throughout the NBA season. He's a really nice center for them. I think it's a really nice pickup for the Lakers. And the Hornets, yeah, it was interesting for me for the Hornets because they gave up their really franchise. I think could have been a franchise center. Um, for Connect, and you said two firsts, which is a nice haul. There's nothing. Dalton Connect's going to be a great player in the Charlotte organization, and he's going to get a lot more opportunity. So it definitely will be interesting to see what happens there. But I think they found their center, and Luka and Mark Williams could be a duo for years to come. I really like this deal for the Lakers. I think that they might have been the winners of the trade deadline for sure.
Yeah, I do. I like this deal, like knowing that they're gonna build this thing around Luca now. Um, I think they were about to start Jackson Hayes, who is not good, and now they're starting Buck Williams, who is pretty damn good. He's extension eligible following this season. I'm really interested what that's gonna look like. Like, could it end up in like the Mitchell Robinson range where it's like $55 million over 4 years? I think it could end up in that kind of an area. I could also just end up being a whole lot higher because Mark Williams does seem to be a very talented player, but he's also been very, unavailable so far in his career. And I think for the Hornets specifically, like you got Connect, sure, but all the other assets you got from this deal are way in the future. And I think this signals to me like this is a rebuild about to happen, and LaMelo Ball could be next out.
Yeah, I mean, how long has this rebuild been going on for Charlotte, Pat? I mean, It's crazy that they're about to
12
enter
years.
another one.
Yeah, I mean,
The picks are 2031 first rounds.
20. I believe it's either 2030 or 2020 or 2030. One is the first, and then the other year is the swap.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So a really interesting move by the Hornets. I think a complete steal for the if Mark Williams can stay healthy. Like you said, he's been very injury prone. But when he's out there, man, it's been nothing to complain about. Just really good stuff from him. Scoring, rebounding, and playing defense.
yeah, I mean he is a very good fit. I do really like that fit. So for Charlotte too, they had previously traded Nick Richards, and then they did make another trade with Phoenix. So they like to make trades with Phoenix. They traded Yusuf Nurkic for Cody Martin and Vasily Micic, and there was some type of pick compensation going to Charlotte. I'll go get that figured out. Um, How do you feel about this for Phoenix?
So Phoenix, they get a guy like Cody Martin. They get Micic. Micic, he's kind of struggled at the beginning of the season, but he's definitely been starting to find his way, find his play style. He's really nice passer, and that's all you need to do for Phoenix, right? They've been having problems with no point guards for years now. Micic is a great backup for Tyus Jones, I think, just to come off the bench, and he's just going to feed the rock. And then Cody Martin, you're getting a guy 3-and-D wing. He's been not really up to par with the 3-point shooting, only 32% this year. But he's averaging 7-4. Not a bad pickup at all. Cody Martin's not a bad player. He's gonna go out there and hit some shots and play some pretty good defense. And that's what they really need, right? The Suns don't really have too many good defenders, with most of their stars being offensive guys. And then the Suns got rid of Yusuf Nurkic. There was nothing going on there. I think it was good to just ship him out. Yeah, I do like the Micic. I think the Micic pickup is very interesting. Um, just a nice little subtle ad for a point guard that I don't know how many assists he has this year, but
Okay. And another part of this as well. The oh, what did you say?
I said 4 assists off the bench for Micic, which is not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty damn good. Um, so the Suns sent over a 2026 first round pick in exchange for a 2026 second round pick going back to them. Um, I'm not sure exactly which pick this is. They had a bunch of weird stuff going on with trading a pick to Utah to get three other picks. So I would assume it's not a super valuable first round pick. But another part of this too, Charlotte's taking on some salary back from Phoenix. Uh, Nurkic was basically at the doghouse as well. Um, Plumlee was playing over him. Nick Richards, who just got there, is playing over him. I think Charlotte sees this as an opportunity with them having no center play that perhaps they can revitalize some type of value from Nurkic.
It's better than Taj Gibson starting at the 5 for you every night because that's what they were probably going to do, right?
Yeah, probably.
Or Diabate. They have Diabate there as well, but
Musa Diabate is a good player. I like
he
Musa
is.
Diabate.
He is. But I think Nurkic is good because, like, I don't know if Diabate starting. I don't know. I feel like he's better off the bench.
Yeah,
And Nurkic is a starter, or he's been a starter. This year has been, like you said, he's been in the doghouse. Him and Mike Budenholzer hate each other. I saw something they haven't talked for like 3 months or something, which is crazy. I don't even know how that happens, but yeah.
another crazy part of this too. Vasily Micic, uh, Serbian player, I believe. I'm only saying this because he wanted to go to Denver to play with Jokic. Um,
Wow.
and he's since been in talks with some EuroLeague teams about his uh, where he might play next season,
Really?
which doesn't make too much sense to me because he can just sign for the minimum to play for Denver. Then, like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. But
Because, like, huh.
I'm
Is he
pretty
eligible? So he's what? He's an unrestricted free agent next year.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up too.
Which I don't know. This has
Okay, so
been
he has a club option next year, and then he's an unrefrigerated. Damn, he's old. Oh my gosh. Okay.
he had a whole
Yeah,
EuroLeague
but just
career before he
for
came to
this
the league.
season, yeah, for this season, I thought he's like 23, bro. For this season, I think it's a good pickup though. I think Micic, he's not because Micic is not going to go look to score at all, especially on the Suns team. He barely really did it with the Hornets, so I expect him to be a very pass first player, and I think that's what the Suns need. There's a lot of turmoil right now for the Suns though. KD is not happy, and I don't think he's going to be there next season. But that's another thing.
I don't think so either. If we were to talk more about the Suns, they were the favorite to land Jimmy Butler, and then midway through the week, it slowly transitioned to they're going to trade Kevin Durant as well, and then also get Jimmy Butler, which I just thought was crazy, but it was legitimately a thing that was possible. Now Jimmy Butler has ended up in Golden State, which was the team that was the highest pursuit of Kevin Durant. Jimmy Butler 4, Dennis Schroeder, Kyle Anderson, uh, I'm missing Andrew Wiggins, obviously, a 2026 first round pick from Golden State, and then I'm missing one other player who was in there for salary filling, but that's the basic trade. What do we think about this Jimmy Butler deal? Because this was kind of, I mean, not out of left field, but like I would say this was out of like the six hole for sure.
Yeah, definitely interesting. It's weird for me. I think it's very very weird. Because Jimmy Butler and uh Andrew Wiggins are kind of very similar players, and Wiggins at this point might even be a better defender. I feel like Golden State was kind of just like we need to make a move. They're sitting at the 10 spot right now. They wanted to make some sort of move. I mean, they were calling about everyone, Patrick. You mentioned KD, Jimmy Butler, pretty much any superstar the Golden State Warriors were calling about. That being said, I do think that Jimmy Butler is going to help them though. He this year he I mean we don't even know if he's really been playing. Like he's shooting. There's been games where he's shot like 7 shots a game, 8 shots, like not threes, but 8 shots in total throughout a whole game where he's playing 30 minutes. When have we ever seen that from Jimmy Butler? Right? Um, I mean, he's it's crazy. So I think that when he comes on this, I mean, I think it definitely gives them a reliable two option now, where Wiggins was kind of with the scoring. I think that Jimmy Butler will come in there and give you more of an efficient scorer and a guy that will go get a bucket. And this team won't just have to rely on Stephen Curry. They still have Kuminga, right? So
Yeah, they still have Kuminga in
yeah,
pods.
yeah. So I mean, they keep Kuminga in Pods. I think that's going to be great off the bench. Pods just had a crazy game recently. As he continues to develop, I think Jimmy Butler is going to be good here. He gives them a little bit of defense, and especially if they can make the playoffs. We all know how Jimmy Butler is in the playoffs. This year, he's still an above average shooter. I mean, 36% from the 3-point line, 54% from the field. I mean, he's averaging 17 and 5. Not a bad pickup at all. And what you give up Dennis Schroeder, who's been completely underperforming. I expect him to do a lot more than with Golden State, but I mean he misses more shots than Buddy Hield damn near every night. And Kyle Anderson is a nice pickup, is a good piece, but I think it's definitely worth it to get rid of Jimmy Butler. I'm interested to hear what you think about. They basically got rid of Andrew Wiggins for Jimmy Butler. What were your thoughts on that? Because I'm kind of on the fence because I feel like they're very similar players.
Yeah, so I was at the point where I was like, you know what? Like Jimmy's probably like not that much better than Andrew Wiggins like right now, but like prior to the trade demands. So like October, November, and December, just going off of Jimmy's splits, right? He was averaging 17 points per game in October, 20 points per game in November, 17.4 in December, and then in January he's averaged 11, right? And then like his rebounds are 3 a game and his assists are 4 or 5 a game. Like he's playing 3 less minutes a night. Yeah, almost 4 less minutes a night. And the Heat are getting like kind of killed when he's on the floor. Like I just don't think that when since the trade rumors have happened, Jimmy Butler hasn't really tried, so it really lowers his season numbers a little bit. I think if you throw out any time after the initial uh the rumor stuff, like he's averaging like 18 points per game on like a 63 true shooting percentage, and like since then he's averaging like 10 points per game on significantly less efficiency, but still not even that bad. Like I do think it's still an upgrade. Like I don't think Andrew Wiggins could have been doing all that, and I Wiggins is still probably a better defender at this point, but Jimmy's a better passer. I think he can fit in pretty well, and we'll just see how it works. Full details on it. There were a ton of teams involved in this deal because, of course, there was. Um, Warriors received 2 second rounders also from the Heat. I think that's an interesting aspect of this. 2025 first round pick protected from the Warriors is the pick going to the Heat. I would assume that is a lottery protection. They're also getting Davion Mitchell from the Raptors, and like I said, Kyle Anderson and Andrew Wiggins,
Who got Davion again?
Miami. So then Utah gets KJ Martin from the Sixers, Josh Richardson. Okay. Um, 2 second round picks, one from the Heat, one from the Pistons. Pistons are getting Dennis Schroeder and Lindy Waters, and a second round pick via the Warriors. And then the Raptors are taking on PJ Tucker's expiring salary and getting a second round pick from the Heat. So just like there was a ton of extra like moves that were worked into this trade, but at the core of it, it's Jimmy Butler. I guess you could include Davion Mitchell in the return for Davion Mitchell, a first round pick protected, and Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson. There we go. That's his name. Uh,
It's not a
go
bad
ahead.
haul.
Yeah.
I think the Davion Mitchell might be a little flying under the radar. Uh, with the because he's been having a really solid year in Toronto. 6 points a game, 4 assists. We know what he does defensively, and they're having all types of point guard problems right now with Terry Rozier under investigation. So I mean, he could end up being their backup point guard, main backup point guard
He could
starter.
start.
Could
Yeah.
start when come playoff time, and then you get Andrew Wiggins, who I like we said, I do agree with you that Jimmy Butler is definitely an upgrade because I feel like he's going to turn it on. Like you said, he hasn't been playing for real, but Andrew Wiggins will fit. He doesn't have to be a number two. He can be the three to Butler or to Bam and Tyler Hero. So I think it's a great fit for Wiggins. I think that the Miami Heat, considering all things considered, made out pretty good from this trade.
Yeah. An interesting part of it too. Warriors give Jimmy Butler a 2-year, $120 million extension.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
So big money. I will see how it plays out for them. Could be bad, could be good. Um, let's see what's next. We could let's go to your Wizards because they made a couple moves. One of them I didn't even know about until I did know about it, but I didn't know the details of it until you told me about it. The Let's start with the Middleton one. They acquired Chris Middleton. In return, they gave up Kuzma. Was it just Kuzma? Wait, because they got a first round pick swap with Middleton. Um,
Hold up, I'll pull it up. I don't know what else we got. We got that
AJ
that
Johnson,
K. Oh yeah, AJ Johnson. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
who was a first rounder this past year,
This year,
who
so that means we have four first round picks from last year's draft.
3 of the 4 are international players with Sar, Johnson, and how am I blanking on the wing's name? Keyshawn George. There we go.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Where
so
is the?
those three guys.
Oh, here we
Get it.
are. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Patrick Baldwin. They got Patrick Baldwin.
Okay. Oh no. I think he got some sent somewhere else too. But yeah, I mean you're getting I mean I don't know how Middleton's better than Kuzma is how I feel about this, but for Milwaukee they really wanted to have the flexibility of, Kuzma's descending contract that's already way less than Middleton's. Um how do we feel about this deal?
I mean, I'm very happy about it. I feel like Kuzma's trade value diminished completely after this season. Probably should have traded him last All Star break. He's not having a great year. Like you said, he is on a descending contract, but we're paying him like 23, $25 million a year, which I think is a little too much. So we kind of got rid of that contract. And even though Middleton might be more, I believe he's only one more year. He's only one more year left on the contract.
I'll double check it.
Yeah, even if it's not one more year, it's two. So really, just like expiring kind of contract. He's going to be there for. I mean, we might re-sign him on like a vet minimum, not maybe not a vet minimum, but like nothing too crazy. For a year or two to keep mentoring guys like Bilal Koulibaly and maybe Keyshawn George a little bit. And I like the AJ Johnson pickup too. He spent a lot of the time in the G League because there's just not a lot of opportunity for him on the Bucks. But he's a guy that we talked about in our preview of the season. Really high flyer, really explosive dunker, really great finisher around the rim. I think it's going to be. I mean, we got, like I said, 4 draft picks from last year's draft. Even though it's considered one of the worst drafts, we're gonna have a nice little squad of role players for the future when we possibly get Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, hopefully. Um, but yeah, and also Chris Middleton. It's gonna be fun to watch him lead a couple tank games. He's averaging, yeah. I mean,
13.
it's not like we're training for Chris Middleton back in 2021. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm jumping out of my shoes. But I think that all things considered, we did a really nice job with this trade, getting rid of Kyle Kuzma in his contract, bringing in a seasoned vet who has been one of the most underrated guys for a while. Um, Even though he's definitely declining, I mean, there's no doubt about that. That Chris Middleton is becoming a shell of his former self. I think he's going to do fine in Washington. We don't need him to do anything. I mean, it's not like we're pushing for anything right now. So I think it'll be good just for him to mentor. I really like that we got a first round pick swap out of it, and I really like AJ Johnson. So I think we made out pretty well.
Yeah. Like at this point, like him and Kuzma are about the same caliber of players. Middleton's money ends after next season. He has a player option for next year. I would assume he takes it. Um, for context too, Middleton's averaging like 13 and he's only started 7 games this year. He's been primarily a bench player for Milwaukee. Um, so that's kind of why they wanted to move him. He really kind of sucks at defense now. Like if you're the Wizards, you don't give a fuck because you suck at defense anyway. Um,
Is Kuzma that much? Like I haven't seen Kuzma play defense in like dead ass like 3 or 4 years. So like I can't. I don't. Like I remember he used to be a pretty good one in LA, but I mean at this point he's 29. I mean
it,
yeah, he probably still plays some good defense. I don't think
it,
it'll be locked down though.
like for context too, like PJ Washington didn't play any defense till he got to Dallas. So
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
like when guys are under like 30, you're like you could probably flip a switch. And if he can't, then it's a tragedy of a trade. Like it sucks. Why would you do that? But if he does flip the switch, I think it's a pretty like it's a potentially an upgrade for them. It at least fits their team a lot better. Um, I think another part of this deal too, I forgot to mention, they get Knicks legend Jericho Sims thrown in this deal. Um,
What?
yeah, for DeLon Wright and Cash.
Oh, okay. That was a
Going back to
separate
the
trade.
Knicks, it was a part of this deal,
Oh, really? Huh.
but like it got added in later. They get Jericho Sims.
Why would they want Jericho Sims, Pat? Why would they do that to
Okay,
themselves?
here's the thing. I think Jericho Sims is all right. He's an
What?
NBA. He's an
What?
NBA third center. That's all he is.
Wow,
He's all right. Whatever.
that's high praise from you.
He's all right.
Talking
He
about
doesn't.
Jericho Sims.
He doesn't help you win, but he won't hurt you when he's out there. Like he plays. He's actually a pretty fine defensive player. I'm sure they'll like him in Milwaukee because he plays defense. He can catch lobs. He doesn't finish layups. He doesn't do that. So don't expect him to do that. But he protects the rim. He runs hard. That's Jericho Sims. Uh, Next get DeLon Wright. I'm happy with DeLon Wright. Like, nice. We get a
Definitely upgrade from what's his name?
Shamit.
Not even Shamit, campaign too a little bit.
Eh, I think they're all gonna play. I think DeLon Wright will play for us. We'll see if he does.
Campaign gets you trucks. Yeah.
Either way, it's better than our other 10th man in the rotation. Sims was pushed out because uh, Robinson's about to come back. So thank God.
That's
Uh,
honestly like a trade accusation in its
yeah,
own right. I think that's how the Knicks were kind of viewing it. That's why they weren't too crazy during this deadline.
I'm so happy that I no longer have to see the Jonas Valanciunas fan trade proposals for Mitchell Robinson. I guess we'll go ahead and talk about Jonas Valanciunas. Sent off to Sacramento for Colby Jones, 2 second-round picks, and somebody else who is a minimum. You're muted. um, for me, you're muted.
City Sissoko.
Oh, so he did go to y'all? Okay.
Yeah, but we
Okay.
waived him, so now he's a free
Yeah.
agent.
Yeah, he's a actually interesting player in the Wembanyama draft. Like he was getting first round buzz. I don't think he went first round though. Um, yeah, I mean, getting if you just look back at a year ago, Washington Wizards used their mid-level exception to sign Jonas Valanciunas. Every NBA team, just about every NBA team, could have signed Jonas Valanciunas for their mid-level exception. Sacramento, who didn't, still had their mid-level exception, and that's how they could take Jonas Valanciunas in a trade, because you can use your mid-level exception as a trade exception as well. So that's what they did here. That's why the salaries don't match. But I think this is a great move by Washington, like just in the aggregate of signing him and then trading him for 2 second-round picks that you otherwise wouldn't have had. Like, I think this is a good move for them. And then for Sacramento, like Jonas rebounds and with the team that already scores so much, I guess you have another guy who can score the ball for you. Like, yeah, it's better than Alex Len at the very least.
It is, yeah. He had a rough game last night. Jonas did against the um, Trailblazers, who've been going crazy. I'm sure we're going to talk about them in a little bit.
We
Next 2 week recap. But yeah, Jonas Valanciunas, we got 2 second-round picks for a guy that was was a backup center for us because we mainly started Alex Sarr over him. And he still is averaging 11 and 8. So
Jonas
I
is
mean, yeah, Jonas is averaging 11 and 8 this year.
is
So I mean, really good pickup for the Kings. I think they get a nice backup center to Domantas Sabonis. The two kind of have a similar they kind of bang in the post to get their points and like do turnaround jumpers, uh, or like a big man turnaround jumper. Can kind of shoot the three a little bit. So I mean, I think it's a really good pickup for the Kings as well. But the fact that we were able to get 2 second-round picks from um the Kings in this trade is really good, especially like you said, mid-level exception. So I know we talked about this before, but that means we didn't spend a lot of money on him.
yeah. So mid-level exception just allows you to go over the cap
Oh, okay,
to
okay, okay, okay.
sign a guy, which is Jonas was like $9 million, I think.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think, and the fact that we even got him, I mean, the whole thing was perfect. I think that we signed him for like 9 million, traded him, got 2 second-round picks from it. Um, and this is a guy that probably could have got a lot more money somewhere else. So I'm very happy. I think what I'm reading now is that he's now on a 3-year, $30 million deal. Is that what he was
Yeah,
before?
yeah, that's what he was before. I
Okay,
think
okay, okay.
maybe there's like a trade kick with it that bumped it up a couple dollars, couple like 3 million. I don't know, nothing too significant. Sacramento would have to take the trade kicker, but that would go right into their mid-level exception. So, um, just real quickly, you've watched a ton of Wizards games. When Jonas is on the floor versus Jonas is off the floor, which Wizards team is better, do you think?
Hmm. I'm gonna go with the team with no Jonas. No
No
Jonas.
Jonas.
He's
No
too
Jonas
old.
is better. Uh,
He's too old
Wizard,
to keep up with the pace that has us 30th in team offensive rating.
damn. Yeah, the Wizards. Jonas is a -5 on off on the fucking Wizards. Like that was crazy. I'm
Yeah.
sure it will be a little bit different in Sacramento because I think the fit there is a little bit better for him because like Jonas like is going in place of Alex Sarr, who's their only like resemblance of defense, and he does make the Wizards offense like significantly better when he's out there. Jonas does like 2 points per 100 is like a decent showing, even though it's still a pretty bad offense when he's out there. But it is something. I think he can potentially help Sacramento. Yeah, they made another trade too. Did you know about that?
Sacramento?
Yeah.
Yes. The Jake Laravia trade?
Oh wait, that's another Wizards trade that I guess we have to talk about as well. Marcus Smart goes to Washington with a first round pick from Memphis, and Jake Laravia goes to Sacramento. And then Alex Len goes to Washington in the deal, and uh, something else happens. But Jake Laravia, I think, going to Sacramento was like kind of a crazy deal, and you just look like I didn't think Marcus Smart was going to get traded for negative. Like he literally got sent out for negative, which is crazy. Marvin Bagley, I think, was the player going back to Memphis. Uh, 2 years ago, they gave up 2 first round picks like to get Marcus Smart, and now they're trading one to get rid of Marcus Smart. I just think I don't understand, especially with a team like Memphis that was about to go make a playoff run. Like I would have rather just had Marcus Smart on the team than not have Marcus Smart on the team. Like I wouldn't have given up a first round pick to not have Marcus Smart for a playoff run. And then even if you like did hate the contract, like it's $21 million for next season. Like that's all it was going to be. Like you could have gotten out of that a lot easier in the off season if you wanted to. I just somebody would have been interested in Marcus Smart to where like I don't know why this move
Yeah,
even
and
happened.
Marcus Smart hasn't even really been healthy this year, so it's not like they've been able to see him. I mean, he's played 19 games, and he wasn't healthy last year. Maybe that's why they traded him. They were done waiting around for him to be healthy. But like, I mean, I'm happy as hell. We just got Marcus Smart, for literally nothing. We gave away Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis. Johnny Davis was one of our worst draft picks, I think, in recent memory. I'm trying to think. At least all of them were at least like in a rotation somewhere else. But Johnny Davis barely even cracked our rotation. I mean, really just
Ever.
yeah, really a miss there. Marvin Bagley's been a draft bust since 2018. Um, and he's never. I mean, there's definitely video of me talking about how good Marvin Bagley can be, but it has not panned out at all like I've expected it to. Sadly. So I mean, I'm not complaining with that at all. We get Alex Len as well. Uh, Decent backup center, man. I mean, like we just kind of talked about him. Jonas Valanciunas is definitely better, but nice. And it's saying here he's only $2 million, so that's like cheap as hell. So really nice pickup there. And Marcus Smart, I mean, this is a guy that won Defensive Player of the Year as a guard. I mean, he's 30 now, but I still think the defense is still there. Man, I hope we can get him for like I know he's next year he's under contract, but hopefully we can extend him like 2 years, 3 years, so he can kind of stay with the rebuild. Maybe he could be a good role playing piece on a Wizards playoff run in like 3 or 4 years. But I like it. Marcus Smart, he's a guy that can shoot the three as well and drive. Really, just a 3 level scorer. And like I said, we just haven't been able to see him play. So I think that we low key fleeced this one. I think the Kings. I think the Grizzlies just kind of gave away shit for no reason because
Yeah.
Jake LaRavia was a player in their rotation, and he was a good one, really good shooter for them. So very interesting to me because they didn't get back anything. They got 3 seconds and Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis, who are significantly worse than all the guys they gave up.
Plus the first round pick in Laravia. Like I don't understand the process here with Memphis. And like Sacramento, you're getting Jake Laravia for Alex Len. Like that's amazing. And then like this deal just makes no sense to me. Like it doesn't. I don't know. And like maybe further down the line, Marcus Smart will be traded for something else, or maybe he gets extended, like you were saying. Like I think this just getting Marcus Smart, like being like, hey, we'll take him. Like it's something that I think more teams should have been willing to do if you would have gotten a first round pick with him. Like that just it's crazy to me that this was what ended up happening. Um, but I was referring to a different Sacramento trade.
Tell me about that one, Pat, because I don't think I'm too familiar with it.
I think you're very familiar with it actually. It sent De'Aaron
Oh,
Fox to
oh, I know
Sacramento
exactly what you're talking
or
about. I know
San
exactly what you're
Antonio.
talking about. I know what you're talking about. Never mind. I feel like we've had a conversation about it before. That's why I was blanking. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, tell the people.
Yeah. So I uploaded a video about it because I was like just chilling around and I was like, okay, shit, I guess I gotta break the news because you called me and broke the news to me, and then I was just like, shit, I'll go make a video about it. So Sheldon actually hasn't said his piece on it. Uh, 3-team deal. Chicago sends Levine um to Sacramento, Darren Fox to San Antonio, 2 first-round picks, three, but one of them is a Charlotte lottery protected pick for this year, so it's not gonna convey. It's gonna be some second-round picks. Two first-round picks. One is a San Antonio 2027, and one is an interesting 2031 pick. I don't remember which team it is right now. Um, let me just think. It's not an Atlanta pick. San Antonio still has the Atlanta picks, which I think is great for them. And then they get De'Aaron Fox. They also move to Chicago. They send Chicago's first round pick for this year back to Chicago, which was originally a part of the DeMar DeRozan trade. They send Trey Jones and Zach Collins to Chicago. And my initial reaction to this was all 3 teams I think did pretty good here. Um, I'm interested in what you have to think about this.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'll talk about the Kings for real quick first. Yes, they gave up De'Aaron Fox, who is the franchise point guard, all star caliber. Did he make it this year? He
Not
didn't
this
make it
year.
this year, but all star caliber type player. And they have Malik Monk who can run the show for him, and so I think that was nice. You get Zach Levine, who's been playing out of his mind, recently. Um, also he's averaging like 22 points per game, just off the top of my head, around that. Uh, he's playing like he was when he got the contract. And I think it's an interesting fit for me because we've seen Levine and DeRozan before. But I think they're similar players, but Levine can shoot the three a lot better. And I think that kind of helps them on the floor where DeRozan can be more of a cutter. And then you have Malik Monk, Levine, Keegan Murray, and Sabonis who can space. But the 3 guys I just named can space the floor really well. So I think that it kind of fits in a way. It's going to help DeMar, I think, a lot. So the Kings, nice trade. The Spurs, holy shit. I mean, it's crazy, man. De'Aaron Fox, who's having an incredible year, like I said, 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. You pair him up with one of the most exciting players in the league with Victor Wembanyama, who's averaging 24 points per game. In the defensive player of the year, lob threat, he's 7-3 and shooting the logo threes. And in the game that they just had, Pat, they faced the Hawks, who are a
It's a great game.
pretty good defensive team. And we already know how good Chris Paul is, but De'Aaron Fox had 24 and 13, 13 assists, okay? Chris Paul had 9. So from your backcourt, you just had 21 assists. I mean, that's insane. Um and then what did Wemby have that game?
He
Hold
balled
on.
out. He made the game-winning putback dunk. Um,
24 and 12. I mean, it's like you know how hard it is to guard Wemby, and it's so hard to guard Fox as well. I mean, he can do everything. I mean, he's shooting his 3-pointer is insane this year. It's so fun to watch him shoot. He's only shooting 33% this year, but like when he makes it,
yeah,
once he catches fire, it's really nice to see. I think that now you have two ones on the team with like two one options with Wemby and De'Aaron Fox. I guess literally it's hard to even like put it in the words how good this is for the Spurs for their offense, but also we see a lot of point guards that can't play defense, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the better point guard defenders in the league. I mean his nickname is literally Swiper. So really big for the Kings, or for the Spurs. I think they are the winners of this deal, just because we know that De'Aaron Fox wants to stay. So this will be a duo that we see for the time coming. And this is a huge pickup for a play-in push, Patrick. This is a team that I'm confident that will make the play-in, will be in the playoffs this year. And those play-in games and those 1-8 matchups, 1-2-7 matchups are going to be a lot of fun. And Pat, listen to this. They kept Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan, and Keldon Johnson. A lot of I think it was all the trade talks with De'Aaron Fox included one of those players. The fact that they
Devin
had to give
Vassell
up
too.
Devin Vassell, yeah. The fact that they didn't have to give up any of them is huge. And the Kings, they got Kevin Herter and Trey Jones.
And the Bulls
Yeah, the Bulls.
and Zach Collins as well.
Yeah, Zach Collins, kind of underrated center, really good backup center for Vooch. Um, he can stretch the floor a little bit. He's a big body. Kevin Herter, 3-and-D wing. I think he's. It's really hard for him to get playing time with Keegan Murray and Trey Lyles there, especially Keegan Murray, who's like literally the exact player, kind of, as Kevin
Better
Herter. But
defensively.
yeah, I think it's a really nice little haul for the Bulls because you get rid of Zach LaVine's contract, you get a couple picks, and you get some pretty decent role players. I I don't really know. They're kind of in that kind of like purgatory where they don't really know what they're doing, just signing Lonzo Ball. So I mean, it's interesting. I don't know what the Bulls really want now. But I think getting rid of Levine and getting some solid role players who are pretty young. Kevin Herter's got to be in his 20s still, like late 20s,
Yeah, late
25,
20s.
26. Um,
Older than that. But yeah, I mean, he's still in his 20s. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think the Bulls. I think the Bulls are the loser of this trade, but it's like a,
A relative.
a relative. I think all three teams did very well. Um, and got what they could. I think it was I think all three teams win from this trade. But if you want to look at like the winners, like you said, relatively, I think that the Kings definitely win and the Bulls lost. But I think it was a really good trade for all three teams.
Yeah, for sure. And like, let me contextualize it this way. During this offseason, Zach LaVine couldn't be moved without the Bulls attaching a first round pick to him. And now they are getting complete rights of their first round pick in return for Zach LaVine, along with Trey Jones, who I think is a really underrated aspect of this deal. I think he's pretty good. Kevin Herter and Zach Collins, I think, are good players, but they are paid a little bit too much compared to how good they are. And I think that hurts their value a little bit, but you're still getting good players in return. And I think, like with Chicago, they've really rekindled value on Levine and Vooch and Lonzo Ball. Of course, they did trade Vooch or Lonzo. They extended Lonzo for 20 million over the next 2 years, which I think is a fine thing if they couldn't find a trade for him. But um, they
Are you surprised? Sorry,
go ahead, go ahead.
I'm just gonna bring up a question. Are you surprised that Vooch didn't get dealt? I felt like he was like the main center that was gonna go at least to the Warriors or something. Like I was surprised Vooch stayed.
I was compared to like I knew Jonas was getting traded. So like if you would have told me Jonas didn't get traded, I was like, what? Was that like somebody's gonna trade for Jonas? Um, I would say I was more convinced that Vooch would get traded than Mark Williams, but I do think like Mark Williams is better than Vooch. I think, and then like
and he's way younger.
way younger, way cheaper. Like there's not many teams that like were in a good position to sign up for this year and then an extra 40 million over 2 years for Nikola Vucevic while also having to give up some type of assets for him. Like,
Yeah, I was about to say you think it would have been like way too much for Vooch. Like the
yeah,
asking price. Yeah,
they just I don't because I do like Vooch and he's had a really good year. Like probably his best Chicago season has been this season. Um, but I think teams are very cognizant of like, hey, if we're a good team, like Vooch doesn't similar with Valanciunas, like if we're a good team, like this guy doesn't really bring as much value as like his counting stats are gonna show. Like he's not a good rim protector, he's not a good role threat. Like I think good NBA front offices like kind of aren't cognizant of these things. So
yeah.
that's why I think Vooch didn't get dealt with the rest of the deal too. I mean, I said in the video, like, this is as good as I think Sacramento could have done without getting Stephon Castle and Devin Vassell and one of those guys. Because, like, if you would have told me that wasn't a thing that happened in a De'Aaron Fox deal, I would have been like, oh, so if they did
For
get if they didn't get 5 first round picks, that they probably got fleeced. But then getting Levine here too, I think is interesting because for them, like, DeMar and Levine can fit together. Like, it works. We saw that in Chicago. Offense is pretty good there. Defensively is where you have some quails. I'm interested in how Doug Christie, puts these lineups together because I think there's a possibility like in Chicago they were a top defense with Lonzo and Caruso next to Levine and DeRozan, and Vooch was the center, and I think Sabonis is a significantly improved defender to Sabonis, or the other way
Vooch.
around. Sabonis is an improved defender
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
Vucevic, is what I was trying to say. So I think there's a very good possibility that like maybe Malik Monk just gets kicked to the bench and they just run point DeMar. Like I think it could be something that completely works because I think a lot of the reason for wanting to trade Fox is him and DeMar just like they don't mesh well together. And we talked about it like multiple times during the mid-season stuff that like they don't really fit. And I think you get Levine, who's like a guy who can still give you a lot of point production, and I think the fit works a lot better. And the floor is super spaced out now, and
So sorry. Keep going.
he's a really good shooter too, and a really good cutter next to Sabonis, who's a really good high post passer. I think starting Keon Ellis could be really good for them, or like Jake Laravia, who they just got. Like I think that along with Levine, Murray, DeRozan, and Sabonis, like could be perfectly fine because I mean, DeMar DeRozan's sneakily been a point forward for like 8 years now. Like I especially since you already have Levine, who's going to get ball handling opportunities, and Sabonis, who demands a lot of uh, control of the ball. Like I think it is a little beneficial for them to just split up the Malik Monk and starter minutes just a little bit because Malik Monk's awesome, and I think is the best, most natural fit at the point guard position on their roster. But I think I would rather him on the bench when you're not going to have all three of Levine, Sabonis, and DeRozan. Get
You have
him.
someone to like manage the offense coming off the bench, right? That's what you want.
Yeah, and I just don't think the fit of those three guys, Levine, DeRozan, and Malik Monk, is going to result in anything respectable on the defensive side of the floor. So I would just split up the minutes. Uh,
It's an interesting proposition.
yeah, I think you'll have enough playmaking with Sabonis and DeRozan is the thing. Uh, I think San Antonio is really interesting here because they might just start Chris Paul, Fox, and Stephon Castle like for the rest of the year. Like it's not going to happen, but like if Vassell gets banged up, like they're gonna go to that lineup, and it's gonna be like, wait, so we have
Either him
Wemby
or
here,
Sohan, maybe.
yeah, we have Wemby here who's a good passer, and then we have four guys who've started games at point guard in the past 2 years with Sohan, and I think I actually really like the Sohan move to start him at point guard last year because it didn't help them a year ago. But now he just has this extra little field to his game that I really kind of like from that position at the four next to Wemby. Like it works. Even if he isn't necessarily going to stay the long term answer, like I like what they're doing with Jeremy Sohan. Um, Chicago, figure out something with some of these role players that you've gotten, and then turn them around for even more assets. I think Trey Jones is a free agent after this year. Like Trey Jones is a good player. I hope they re-sign him. He's really similar to his brother, who is stuck in the league for 10 years now. So
I've seen
that's
Trey Jones buyout things.
if Trey Jones is a buyout candidate, he is one of the better buyout candidates
I
on the
think it
buyout
was
market.
I saw him, Seth Curry, and Ben Simmons, or someone.
Yeah. So I don't know.
I
There
was
were
shocked to see
rumors.
him on that list. It's like I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
I don't know why they would. There were rumors at like the late hours of the deadline. Like I was driving home during the deadline, like the actual hours, and then like at right before I was driving home, there were rumors that the Knicks were in talks with Chicago about some of their backcourt players. To me, that was like, hey, like there's an overcrowding of there's Kobe White, Desumu, Giddy. I think they buy out Javon Carter already. They might have, they might not have. And then there's a ton of other guys there too. So I don't know. I think the rumors were
I think he's still
specifically
there.
okay. I think the rumors were specifically about Kobe White is what I think, but it didn't end up actually happening. I don't see why they would buy out Trey Jones, even though they do have
Yeah,
like
I didn't.
only guards.
I was so surprised when I saw that.
Yeah, I didn't really think there was anything to that. There's one other kind of big deal. A guy who made an All-Star team has been traded, Brandon Ingram, goes to Toronto. I think it's very similar to the Smart thing where Toronto's like, hey, we're getting a chance to get a guy who's like been really good in his past at like what isn't an extreme asking price for how talented he is. And Toronto, with Emmanuel quickly coming back recently, they've kind of sneakily been kind of good the last like 20, 12, 15 games. Um, so I don't think they're gonna push in for the season because like all they could do is make the play in. Like they're not gonna get like a guaranteed seating. So I do think it is possible that they're just trying to get Brandon Ingram to extend him to have him for years going forward. I'm just really concerned on him, Barrett and Barnes fitting together. Like I don't think that's gonna like they're all just gonna operate in the same spots on the floor. It just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, like these are all kind of like driving guys that also kind of like to shoot the mid range a little bit, like turnaround jumpers. I think. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I think R.J. Barrett's probably the better 3-point shooter out of all of them, or Brandon
Ingram
Ingram.
probably is.
Ingram, yeah.
Barrett's a shaky shooter.
Okay, yeah. So Brandon Ingram. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you get a 22 point per game score, which is awesome. You pair him with two other 22 point per game scorers with R.J. Barrett and Scotty Barnes. But like you said, it's going to be weird. I mean, in a lineup of like um, Emmanuel
Barrett,
Quickly,
Barnes,
Barrett,
Ingram.
Barnes, Ingram, and fucking Jakob Pertl. I mean, it's a very weird lineup. Very, very strange lineup. I think it could be very good, right? If everything gels well, I think
Could be all right.
it could be all right. Yeah, it could be decent. I mean, I don't know if Brandon Ingram's playing much defense nowadays. I would assume he's only 27, but he's had a lot of injuries. I don't know. It's interesting. I think the Pelicans ended up getting Bruce Brown. Am I correct on that? Or Bruce Brown got
Bruce
dealt?
Brown, Chris Boucher, and I think it was a first round pick going to New
Not a
Orleans.
bad haul at all for the Pelicans, and not a bad pickup for Toronto. I mean, I see this as kind of a win-win for both teams. It's when Brandon Ingram comes back, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team. I don't. How many games did he play this year? He's only played 18 games. So, and I haven't really heard much about him coming back anytime soon. maybe he comes back in time for the play-in push, like you said. But this is definitely a team that will be staying around that 11, 12, 10.
And this I think the most important player for them kind of is Emmanuel Quickly because like he's recently come back and they've played a lot better since he's been back and I think he's just a big part of it. I really don't like Barrett and Ingram together. Like I don't think that's a
I
one that
agree
I
with
would
you.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, we'll probably see one of them get dealt at some point in the future for a good return. So, like, I mean, they have assets now. Um, they have a young point guard. They have a couple with Jamal Shed too.
he's good.
He's been really good rookie for them. He's
That's why
averaging
they
like
were
5 or
fine
6
moving.
assists. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's why they were
crazy.
fine moving Davion because
Yeah,
Jamal Shed's legit and like we talked
yeah,
about him like if he didn't tear his ACL in college like he would have been close to a lottery pick.
yeah.
And
So I can't remember if we said Toronto had no idea what they're doing at the beginning of the season, or we just didn't like what they were doing. But I think now they're kind of starting to shape it up a little bit, just a little bit. Um,
uh, I think I said they were building something, and we just don't know what that something is. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
still
That's what I'm
just,
saying. They're a little bit getting better by the. But like I like this trade for both sides. Hopefully Ingram comes back soon. I want to see all these players play, man. I'm ready to
yeah,
turn on. Oh shit! I might watch Chris Middleton play for the Wizards for a little bit. But tomorrow I'm 100% turned in for Luka. Um,
me too.
Luka, and I tuned in for the Wemby, De'Aaron Fox debut. It was
It's
awesome.
an awesome game.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait to watch Mark Williams too. That's gonna be fun. Um, I've already watched Zach LaVine. Geez, what were the other big ones that we just literally just went over?
We just talked about him. Uh, well, you didn't watch Anthony Davis or Luca play yet. Um,
Yeah, Anthony Davis will be good. It's gonna. I think a lot of people are very curious to see how that Mavs team is gonna be. I'm curious because in my mind they're gonna be defensive like
they're gonna
monsters.
be, yeah, they're gonna be great because they're gonna have Wimp or AD starting next to Gafford, and it's like that's just
And
gonna the team's gonna be
yeah, and they already
crazy.
have PJ Washington, um, who's
And I
really
guess they're
good.
starting Clay
Oh yeah,
still.
fuck. Never
Like, I
mind.
mean, it's
So
whatever, but
cool.
like,
Clay had like 25 last game. Oh, the DeAndre Hunter trade.
yeah, that was the last one I was gonna get.
Okay,
I actually don't know what the package was, so I just say your piece on
okay.
it.
So the Cavs got DeAndre Hunter, and the Hawks got Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 seconds, and two first round pick swaps.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. That's exactly what I got here. Um, I would assume those swaps are favorable for Atlanta. Atlanta was kind of weird because it just feels like they're tanking for San Antonio now because San Antonio owns Atlanta's pick outright, which to me just like I don't know what's going on with that. Like I would have just rather tried to give this thing a chance. I put them in like as a team that I think should go for Beal if Beal was to be needed to send somewhere else for a Jimmy Butler deal. Like I don't think and like now they're just sitting on $30 million, $35 million of expiring salary with Capella and Larry Nance. Like I'm confused on what Atlanta's doing. And like trading Hunter here, like they didn't really have to, but I guess a year ago, like he probably would have been a negative asset, and now they're getting stuff for him. But I would have just rather kept him in the fold next to what could have been a pretty talented Hawks team in a couple years, hopefully. But
Yeah, I mean DeAndre Hunter too. It's like a six man of the year candidate in my eyes. I mean, averaging 19 off the bench, and his 3 point shot is really good this year. 36% from the three, and he's a really good defender, and that's big for the Cavs, man. The Cavs, in my mind, just got a lot scarier and really bolstered themselves for the playoffs. Um, because we're gonna see, and they got rid of Karis LeVert, which is is a good piece for them. But I mean, we're gonna see Garland, Mobley, or sorry, Mitchell or Garland, Mitchell, DeAndre Hunter, Mobley, and Jared Allen. That may probably be the starting lineup. It's a gross starting lineup, Pat. You have three or four lockdown defenders there. And all those guys can shoot and score the ball. So I think the Cavs just got a lot scarier. Big pickup for the Cavs. I think. I mean, they did have to give up a good bit, um, with 5 picks and Karis LeVert. But I think it was worth it. And like you said about the Hawks, yeah, I mean, I believe they don't own a bunch of their first round picks, right? There's like multiple they don't earn.
They don't
Or
own their own first round pick until 2028.
yeah, and they were in a position to make a playoff push for like the 6 or 7 seed. I
Yeah.
I don't know. If they
Since
didn't get rid of Capella or like you said, Larry Nance, I think Capella would have been a guy that I would be begging teams to just take off my hands. And a lot of teams would have took him. I mean, Capella's having a good year. And you have a Nekwu and Kongwu, like you don't need Capella at all. You could have got like Alex Len, and you could have traded shit. You probably maybe could have got like Lennon Laravia, or never mind. But I think that the Hawks just makes no sense. The Cavs is a splash.
yeah, like Atlanta like a while ago was like competing for like a mid playoff spot, and then Jalen Johnson gets hurt. Their fall had started kind of before that, but over their last 10 they were 1-9. Like it's it's been really rough, and like before their last 10 they were 22 and 19 before their last 10 games. So like they've been on a fall, and they're not helping themselves by trading DeAndre Hunter, and they just lost the other night in crunch time to San Antonio, and I still don't think they're honestly that bad. I think they've really sucked recently, but like I don't know. I would have gone more all out on the tank if I would have done it, and just try to rekindle some stuff. They sent Bogey to the Clippers for 3 seconds. Also happened.
Bones Highland, baby.
Bones. Can't wait for him and Kricic to play together off the bench every night.
Used to pray for NBA duos like that, man.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything that, not everything. We're definitely missing something, but mostly everything that's happened. Uh, yeah, do you have anything else?
Yeah, well, this is. I mean, I'm done with the trade stuff. I just kind of question, but um, where does this rank for you in the deadlines in the past like 5 years? Because this has been the craziest one that I can remember, and I haven't been following the NBA too closely, uh, like. But I just wanted to know like what you think, because this has been like crazy. I've never seen this many stars get dealt.
This has got to be the craziest.
Yeah,
I don't. When Durant got traded and Kyrie got traded, it was pretty interesting, but I think this is crazier. Like that was just a blow up of the Nets team. That honestly was a good team too. I think that's an interesting part of that Nets team getting blown up. But yeah, I mean Luka just getting traded, I think alone makes this like better than that deadline. And then
yeah.
Fox and Jimmy Butler, like the whole Jimmy Butler stuff was just crazy. Like that was the headline of this trade deadline, and then Luka gets traded.
And
Like,
then Fox gets traded.
and De'Aaron Fox was like a guy who could get traded, but I didn't think was going to. But then he
I think a
did.
lot of people were on the I don't think he's going to boat. So I think that was a shock.
Yeah, and then like all the Kevin Durant rumors floating around on the final day, like was just crazy. Like that was never on my bingo card. Like I thought it was at least gonna be another year before we got more KD rumors.
Like, bro, him in LA or in Golden State, that would have been so like just weird, man. That would have
It
been
would
crazy.
to run it back. It would have been
And
so
then I
weird.
saw I saw that we had the best odds to get him. I got 2016 flashbacks to when he was supposed to come to Washington.
And you were like, yeah, so he's going to Golden State then.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was ready. I think that they would have. I saw there was something in the works to send Kuzma to Milwaukee, and then the Suns
Middleton to
would end up
Phoenix.
Middleton to Phoenix. Yeah, and then the Suns get KD, or
Oh,
the Washington gets KD. That would have been cool. Um, KD probably would have killed himself, but
yeah, like I don't think he would have showed up. He was just He would have waited around until he was a free agent and
Yeah,
gone elsewhere.
he would have been out with some hip injuries for the
Yeah,
rest of the season.
yeah, that wouldn't have been very good. I guess I just now realized, did you have a trivia question for today?
Nah, I don't have one. I would
Okay.
we'll just cut that. Cut that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
um,
I didn't think about it till just now. Um, yeah, I mean, you got anything else before we wrap this one?
nah, I'm ready to see where we'll be next week.
Shit, we're gonna have a fun one. I guess, do you want to
Or
recap next week?
what was it supposed to be next week? I might have
I
jumped the gun.
have no idea what we were planning to do yet, so
We could do like a 2 week, maybe not like a recap. Like you know how we usually like recap from our last recap episode. Maybe just do a 2 week recap from next Friday, or would that be a 2 week recap?
that'd be 2 weeks for sure.
I bet. Yeah, that sounds good
Yeah,
to me. I feel like that's fitting. We haven't talked about the NBA in a while, like the current what's going
yeah,
on.
we
I feel like it's
haven't.
been a minute.
We've had this, we had the predictions video for this, which none of it was right. Like, Jimmy
I
Butler didn't go to Phoenix.
I, I had
Um,
Bruce Brown getting traded.
yeah. Cam Johnson didn't get Dell. I was pretty sure that
That
Cam Johnson was
that
getting
was
Dell.
crazy. I thought that was crazy because they could get so much.
Yeah.
So much. The Thunder would
Oh,
have been. Mm,
thought it would have
like
been too unfair. Too unfair.
yeah,
Can't go there.
true.
Yeah, so next week is bi-weekly recap, which is not necessarily a bi-weekly recap, but that's what we're calling it. Um, yeah, we'll see you guys then. Should be a pretty fun one. See ya.